Y'all! If you have been living under a rock, you know that Brandy was the undisputed queen of the 90s. But behind that million-dollar smile and angelic voice, there was a whole lot of drama brewing. We're talking about some seriously dark stuff, besties. So buckle up because we're about to spill all the tea. Let's start at the beginning, shall we? Brandy burst onto the scene like a supernova, dropping hit after hit and charming her way into America's hearts. From Moshe to becoming the first Black Cinderella opposite Whitney Houston, it seemed like Brandy was living the dream.
And I felt like I didn't have the space to grow and to grow up in a safe way.
She said she was 15 and she had to keep it a secret because she was so young.
See, we did the thing. We did the thing when she was like 16, 17, around that time, you know. I was old enough to, she was old enough to get it.
Okay. But was it legal in the state y'all was in?
I mean, we was always in different states.
I can't believe that we produced, someone like her. So I consider myself the executive producer of Brandy.
Sonia is definitely a pit bull, but I think she, at the end of the day, has Brandy's best interest at heart.
But hold on to your wigs because the reality behind the scenes was far from perfect. Our girl Brandy was dealing with more drama than a soap opera marathon. We're talking prejudice in the industry, falling prey to older men, surviving a near-fatal car accident, battling depression and eating disorders. You name it, Brandy's been through it. Born on February 11th, 1979 in Macomb, Mississippi, Brandy came from a musical family. Her dad, Willie Norwood, was a gospel singer and choir director, while her mom, Sonia Norwood, was climbing the corporate ladder at H&R Block. Little Brandy was belting out gospel tunes at just 2 years old. In 1983, the Norwood clan packed up and moved to Carson, California. Brandy started attending the Hollywood High Performing Arts Center, where she fell head over heels for Whitney Houston's voice at the tender age of 7. But here's where things get a little shady. School wasn't exactly supportive of Brandy's dreams. She had to fight tooth and nail to get teachers to send her on auditions. Can you believe they told her she wasn't drop-dead gorgeous enough? The audacity.
Someone who probably had a lot more energy and who really was Cinderella to me should play the part, and I suggested Brandy.
She called me one day all hype. I was like, what's going on, Whitney? And she was like, I got this project. Deborah and I have this project, and we want you to do this movie called Cinderella, and we want you to play Cinderella. And I said, I thought you were gonna be Cinderella. She's like,
I'm 33 now. I'm not quite feeling like Cinderella.
no, honey, I'm not gonna be Cinderella. I want you to be Cinderella. And I started screaming. I ran around the house. I told my mom, I said, Mom, what do you want to do?
She said under one condition, that I was her fairy godmother.
But Brandy's mom, Sonia, wasn't about to let anyone rain on her daughter's parade. In fact, Sonia was so convinced of Brandy's star power that she told People magazine in 1998, I knew Brandy was going to be a star the day she was born. I told the doctor that he had just delivered a star and that she was going to be something one day. Talk about pressure, right? By age 11, Brandy was already hitting the talent show circuit and performing with a youth singing group. Things really started heating up in 1990 when she signed with Teaspoon Productions, run by Chris Stokes and Earl Harris. They got her work as a backing vocalist for the R&B boy band Immature and even helped her record a demo tape. Fast forward to 1993 and boom! Brandy's parents secured her a deal with Atlantic Records. Our girl was just 14 years old when she signed on the dotted line. Sonia quit her job to manage Brandy full-time, letting Chris Stokes go. Talk about a power move.
Brandy was always insecure on how she looked. She always wanted to look pretty. And she never felt pretty.
She's got big eyes, a big smile, and people picked on her a lot, and it kind of made her feel not so great about herself.
And I was teased. The only thing I had going for me was the fact that I could hit a couple notes. So I believed in that and kept it moving.
Meanwhile, Brandy dropped out of Hollywood High and started getting tutored privately from 10th grade onward. Just 1 year after signing with Atlantic, Brandy's self-titled debut album hit the streets and absolutely exploded. We're talking over 4 million copies sold and 3 top 10 hits. Brandy was on fire, but besties, you know what they say, the higher you climb, the harder you fall. And unfortunately for our girl Brandy, the fall was coming. Behind the scenes, things were getting ugly. Brandy was being bullied by her Moshe co-stars, battling an eating disorder, and eventually it all became too much. She ended up in the hospital after a nervous breakdown. It's heartbreaking, y'all. Now let's talk about Sonia Norwood for a hot minute. Mama Norwood always claimed she was just looking out for Brandy's best interests, but the tea is piping hot on this one. Sources close to the situation have spilled that Sonia was a stage mom from hell, controlling, overbearing, and toxic. And get this, she allegedly completely ignored Brandy's mental health struggles. Not cool, Sonia, not cool at all. But hold on to your wigs because it gets even worse. The real bombshell is the betrayal that cuts deeper than a paper cut on your tongue. Not only did Sonia allegedly turn a blind eye to Brandy's inappropriate relationship with Wanya Morris from Boys the Sit Show Men, but she reportedly teamed up with Wanya to take over Brandy's life and career. They practically took away Brandy's voice, leaving her feeling defeated and with zero self-esteem. It's like something out of a nightmare, besties. So, what really went down between Brandy and Wanya Morris? Did Sonia Norwood actually push her young daughter into a relationship with an older man just to boost her career? Grab your detective hats because we're about to dive deep into this mystery.
Full-time, letting Chris Stokes go.
I can't believe that we produced, someone like her. So I consider myself the executive producer of Brandy. I'm the executive producer.
Mrs. Norwood decided to take control of her daughter's career and said goodbye to Stokes.
I feel like I would have been a better manager for Brandy.
In 1995, Brandy's career skyrocketed again when she landed the gig as the opening act for Boys II Men, the hottest group around at the time. This was a major opportunity for Brandy and put her on the map in a big way. But here's where things get dark, besties. Brandy was just 16 when she hit the road with Boys II Men, and during that tour, it was rumored that Wanya Morris, who was 22 at the time, started a relationship with her. To make matters worse, Wanya had actually met Brandy when she was just 14 or 15 years old, and in 1994, they worked together on the hit single Broken Hearted. So while their collaboration was lighting up the charts, there were some serious questions about what was going on behind the scenes between a very young Brandy and the much older Wanya.
I've always wanted to tour with this major group or this major artist, and it so happened to be my favorite group in the world.
Back then, unfortunately, these kinds of relationships were pretty much brushed off, especially in Hollywood. Even though everyone knew it was wrong, people just looked the other way. Misogyny was also running wild, and instead of holding the adults accountable, the media and folks in the industry actually blamed Brandy for supposedly chasing after Wanya and stealing him from his girlfriend, Adina Howard. What's also gross is that Adina Howard, who was the same age as Wanya Morris, actually pointed the finger at Brandy instead of her own boyfriend, who was manipulating a teenager. It's like Adina viewed the whole mess as just a love triangle between three adults, completely ignoring the fact that Brandy was just a kid in the middle of this drama.
Two young ladies allowed their egos to get in the way and were kind of going through it about a guy.
And get this, Adina still doesn't seem to grasp how messed up the situation was. In a clip that recently resurfaced from a 2019 episode of TV One's Unsung, Adina talked about the whole Brandy and Wanya situation and described it as two young ladies who let their egos get in the way and were going through it about a guy. Seriously? Brandy was in high school while Adina and Wanya were both in their early 20s. For Adina to lump herself in with teenage Brandy and not even recognize that Brandy was failed by adults who were supposed to protect her is beyond disgusting. But if you thought the way Adina handled this situation was bad, wait till you hear how Wanya tried to justify his disgusting behavior. When Wanya appeared on The Breakfast Club in 2014, they confronted him about these allegations, and he pretty much confirmed that he was dating Brandy when she was underage. He then agreed to her being jailbait, said that they did the thing when she was 16 or 17, and mentioned that she was old enough in his eyes. However, he conveniently left out how old he was at the time.
Brandy even said to her behind the music that you broke her heart because you fell in love with somebody else.
I mean, you only fall in love with somebody, you only fall out of love with somebody else if somebody makes you fall out of love. You know, so if that was the situation, if that's what she said, then
that's political. I like that.
I can't contest to her view about it. I can just only live by my view.
Revolt.
They were saying she was really young when y'all dated.
Yeah, she was. Not that young. Not
jailbait.
No, that's what I'm saying. Hold on, but you know that's why. But hold on, that's why I stopped it. Hold on, but that's why I stopped it and said that she wasn't that young, because I don't want y'all to think Boys II Men was young.
I was young too.
She said she was 15 and she had to keep it a secret because
see, we did the thing. We did the thing when she was like 16, 17, around that time, you know.
So you were still a boy too.
I wasn't old. I wasn't like 38 years old, nothing like that. I was old enough to. She was old enough to get it.
Okay. But was it legal in the state y'all was in?
I mean, we was always in different states. We
They had a nomad relationship.
You know what I'm saying? We just, we didn't do it in the states that it was legal. It was illegal in.
Nice.
Gotcha.
Nice.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, this is so disturbing to listen to. And then the fact that everyone on the Breakfast Club is sitting there cracking jokes about Wanya saying he made sure he took Brandy to different states so they could do the thing. This is actually disgusting. Now fast forward to 2021, and Wanya again decided to address those criticizing his relationship with Brandy. This time he stated that they were close friends while she was young, and then once she became of age, they started to develop an intimate connection. However, this time Wanya brought up Brandy's mother, Sonia, claiming that Sonia reached out to him. It pretty much sounds like Sonia allowed this grown man to take advantage of her daughter. Toxic mom alert.
Brandy and I were friends in the beginning. Her mother and reached out to me, as well as my manager reached out to Brandy, because Brandy was a big fan of mine. And I was like, wow, that's amazing, because this young lady was pretty cool. Now I was young at the time. I wasn't 30 nothing. You know what I'm saying? So don't get it twisted.
During Wanya's Instagram Live in January 2021, someone in the comments mentioned Brandy, and Wanya said he wanted to set the record straight on what really went down between them. He claimed that he and Brandy became friends after Brandy's mom, Sonia, reached out to him and told him Brandy was a huge fan. And once again, Wanya didn't want to say how old he was at the time. He just said he wasn't 30, as if that makes it any better.
What happened is we actually, she became kind of like my little protege. You know what I mean? I'm actually the one that introduced her to Vita Spears and Ralph Foucault. They came to us to actually do a TV show on the UPN network. And I said, well, Brandy's down the hallway, and, she's basically, she was on the Thea show. Okay, cool. Introduced her to that. The show came to fruition. My mom and I wrote the theme song to the Brandy show. So Brandy and I were really, really close. Once she turned of age, we had been hanging around each other so much. We've been hanging around each other so much that there became to be some sort of connection, an intimate connection. We actually fell in love. Now, we were young. That's what happens. You're young and you fall in love. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you have the ability to be around somebody a lot, you begin to know things about them. You know what I mean? And they know things about you. Now, when you're young, you make decisions based on your youth. You know what I'm saying? You don't make decisions, moral decisions that put you in a whole position where you know that this is what's going to be for the rest of your life. You're learning through everything. And Brandy and I learned through a lot.
Wanya then described Brandy as his protege and talked about how he helped her further her career by introducing her to different people in the industry. According to Wanya, over time, his relationship with Brandy became intimate. He said it was just two young people falling in love. However, he conveniently didn't mention that he first met Brandy when she was 14 or 15, and he was in his early 20s. But it gets even creepier, believe it or not. Wanya also talked about how he and Brandy's mom, Sonia, arranged for Brandy to meet Kobe Bryant and go to prom with him, even though Wanya said Brandy was officially his girlfriend at the time.
When it came time for Brandy to go on her prom, she was my girlfriend. Kobe Bryant was graduating from high school that year. Brandy was my girlfriend. She had just graduated from Pepperdine, and her mom and I, we both made it so that Brandy was able to go on tour. I mean, on the prom with Kobe Bryant.
By the way, if you need evidence that Wanya is a textbook narcissist, keep in mind that this man has 6 kids with his ex-wife Tracy Nash, 4 sons and 2 daughters, and he named all of his sons after him. The boys are named Wanya 1st, Wanya 2nd, Wanya 3rd, and Wanya 4th. And to no one's surprise, according to the latest reports, the boys now have a strained relationship with their dad. Wanya hasn't posted anything about his sons on social media since 2018, and word on the street is that he pretty much abandoned his kids after he married his second wife, Amber Reyes, in 2019 and welcomed a baby with her. Now, going back to Wanya's IG Live where he talked about Brandy. In true narcissist fashion, he went on and on about how he was the one who put Brandy on the map and gave her all these career opportunities.
It came time for Brandy to introduce herself to the world. I'm the one that actually put her on the Boys to Men tour. Okay, so she was with me. You know, she was my friend, and we became intimate in a relationship. There's no lie going on here. You can ask Brandy, she will tell you the same story. Relax on what you think, because I know, because I lived it, and so did Brandy. As time progressed, we grew out of each other. Yes, it was a hurtful thing. It was a hurtful thing to break up. That's what happens. You're in a relationship and then you break up. She grew out of me and I grew out of her. Might have grown out of her a little bit faster, but you know, it's a relationship. You're young and you make decisions. Next thing you know, that's what it is. Brandy's successful, Boys to Men is successful, and we're happy. You know what I'm saying?
And then Wanya again brought up Brandy's mom, Sonia, claiming that both she and Brandy's dad were part of their relationship. In other words, Brandy's parents knew exactly what was going on, and they failed to protect their daughter.
So whoever is there saying, you know, all kinds of crazy stuff like they know, you know what I mean? Regardless of anything, my age, her mother was definitely, you know, a part of our relationship. Her mother and father was a part of our relationship. They allowed me to guide Brandy and to help her through her career. They understood that we had grown close, and that's what it was. You know what I'm saying? So understand that that you know for a fact, whoever it is on there, that life happens. That's just what it is. So now you have your answer and you have your understanding. If you care to listen, you care to believe it, I don't care.
As you can imagine, fans were disgusted by Wanya refusing to take any accountability after all these years. They slammed him for once again twisting the truth and gaslighting everyone, especially after he already admitted in that Breakfast Club interview that his relationship with Brandy was illegal in some states. And let's be real, even if it was legal everywhere, it doesn't make it any better morally speaking. Why is a man in his early 20s even talking to a 15-year-old and trying to be her friend anyway? One fan commented on Wanya's video, "Sir, she might not have been 15, but she was still a teenager when she was dating you. Please don't do the semantics thing with the public, cause we're no fools. You just don't want to be R. Kelly." And another person wrote, "Wanya is lying. The Boys to Men tour featuring Babyface and Brandy began January of 1995. Brandy was 15, turning 16 at the time of the Boys to Men tour. I worked in radio at that time and worked that show in Detroit. Brandy was 15 and Wanya was 22. Now let's talk about Sonia Norwood's role in all this, because fans are saying she should be held responsible too for practically handing her daughter to these grown men just because she was obsessed with turning Brandy into a star. In fact, Brandy herself hinted in her interview for Oprah's magazine that her mother wasn't there for her and was focused more on being her manager than her mom. "I just wanted someone to listen to me," Brandy said, "to see me as a human being. It seemed everyone treated me as if I were an item. I was too embarrassed to tell my mom about some of the things I was experiencing because of the good girl image that had been created for me. I couldn't really express myself to anyone. The public thought Brandy would never do this or that, but I was doing those things." When Oprah asked, "What things are you talking about?" Brandy responded, "When I was 15, I fell in love with someone who was 20. When I tried to talk to mom about it, she said, 'You're not in love. You don't know what love is.'" But we already heard from Wanya himself that Sonia Norwood was very much involved in Wanya and Brandy's relationship. Again, Brandy was a young teenager back then, so of course she thought she was in love. But instead of Sonia protecting her daughter from getting involved with a grown man, she dismissed her feelings while at the same time allowing Wanya to get close to Brandy and take advantage of her. And get this, Sonia actually tried to put the blame on Brandy in that Oprah interview, claiming that Brandy just wouldn't listen to her. Sonia said, "But you know what, Oprah, as a parent, you do listen when your child comes to you and cries. But when you say what you need to say, it's not what the child wants to hear." However, Brandy then interrupted Sonia saying, "But you don't listen with your whole body and your whole mind." But Sonia again got defensive and said, "A parent isn't built to listen with her whole body and mind when she's talking about her 15-year-old daughter going out with a 20-year-old man. Whether she was a celebrity or not, I had the same fear all mothers do, that my daughter would get caught in a situation where a baby is making a baby." Sonia then went on to say that Brandy stood her ground and she stood hers before adding, "But her father and I allowed her to do things most parents wouldn't allow their children to do because she was a celebrity. She got away with murder, and I was there for all the pain that came from her being in a relationship with a 20-year-old. The things he said and did to her, I wanted to kill him." But what Sonia didn't mention to Oprah is that she was the one who reached out to Wanya to tell him Brandy was his biggest fan. And then Sonia and Wanya practically took control over Brandy's life. That's why even now, as a grown woman, Brandy is still dealing with depression and self-esteem issues. In a recent cover story for People, Brandy said, "I felt like I didn't have the space to grow and to grow up in a safe way. I had to deal with so many other opinions about what I should do, how I should be, and what I should look like, and that can get tough when you're trying to find your own voice." As for fans, they're saying Brandy's story is a classic case of how fame-hungry parents can totally wreck their kids' lives. It's a disturbing pattern we see all too often in Hollywood. Some parents are so obsessed with chasing fame and fortune that they practically sell their own children to the industry. One fan said, "Her mother and Aaliyah's mother are one and the same." They both sat by and did nothing while their daughters were taken advantage of by older men. Aaliyah's mother literally gave her to you-know-who, and I believe he paid her as well. And another person wrote, Wanya made it seem like he was mentoring her, and he claims that they waited to be intimate when she was of age, and she was not that much of age, and her mother Sonia was the main reason for the mess. She was behind the whole fake marriage situation. That's why Brandy and Sonia always had a rocky mother and daughter relationship. Sonia was more focused on being a stage mom than a mother. The more we dig into Brandy's story, the clearer it becomes that she was failed by the adults around her who should have been protecting her. It's a tale as old as time in Hollywood. Young stars being pushed too hard, too fast, and ending up with lasting scars. So what do you think? Do you believe Sonia Norwood really sold her daughter for fame and fortune? Was Wanya Morris just another predator in an industry full of them? And how can we prevent stories like Brandy's from happening in the future? Drop your thoughts in the comments, besties. Let's keep this conversation going, because it's only by shining a light on these dark corners of the entertainment industry that we can hope to change things for the better. And remember, if you or someone you know is struggling with mental health issues, don't be afraid to reach out for help. You're not alone, and there's no shame in asking for support. That's all for now, besties. Stay fabulous, stay informed, and most importantly, stay kind to one another. Until next time, this is Hot Gossip. Goodbye.